Right, so tutorial number 5. I've been told I don't look into the camera enough, and it is difficult because I am trying to do a number of things. I've got the bot in front of me, I've got my Arduino ID there, and then I've got the OBS on the other side of the screen, and I'm trying to make it as much in line as I can, but I apologise if it seems a bit distant. I am trying to do this, but I am doing it all on my own. So, we've got the bot down there. What I want to do with this tutorial is I want to actually throw a concept in, but then leave you to actually sit down and have a look at it and work it out yourselves. Give people a chance to go ahead if they want to. Let's see what people come up with. I will be back with another tutorial, so it's not a competition. It's just let's think about things in different ways. The robot's already got the software in there, and again it's back down to trying to look at the idea of taking some of the bumpiness out of it. So we've got the software as before, where we've got the set of variables. I've taken the time base up to 5,000. There's a reason for that. It's now no longer to do with time, it's to do with processing speed. And I've taken the pulse width modulation to 3,000, which again is impossible, but that is, I'll explain that later. So what I've then added is 3 arrays. I've added an array that is the pins. So what that does mean in actual fact is those first 4 are actually now no longer valid. The reason for that is that I wanted to be able to access them numerically as opposed to using the words, partly because I'm trying to change the concept about how we're doing these. So I left the original numbers up there, but you can see they are now just effectively replicated in the arrays. I've set a boolean up, which is either, the booleans can either be false or true, and then I've also set up one called my PWM array, which again is 4. I've added a delay variable, a mymo variable, and a PWM factor variable. So the basic start is the same. We've got a 5-second delay, and then we run the my forward command, and much of the rest of it is same. But instead of actually operating the delay, we actually put the time base that we're selecting into a variable called myDelay, and then we run a new command called myEngine. So what I'm trying to do is instead of sitting down and dealing with the commands instantly, I'm starting to get the concept over of dealing with everything as an object, even down to switching the motors on and off, and the actual process of running the motors. So that what we're doing is, instead of actually controlling the motors directly, what we're doing is we're actually talking to an engine that will deal with them on their own. Now this is like your first stage towards building the autonomy, because what you're doing is you're designing an engine next that will deal with the requests and run the overall robot. So we've got again the middle button. Now then, what it does do, if you notice, they are slightly different because it allows for the fact that we're already going backwards. And so what it does is, on the left back it does the same. It adds more to the delay, and effectively what we're doing is we're starting to deal with the whole problem as logics as opposed to direct instructions. And then the last thing, we've still got my forward, but my forward actually doesn't do anything. What it does is it then calls the engine. So what my forward does now is it actually sits down and alters the variables in the motors array, just as my left, back and stop does, and backwards. Then right at the bottom I've created a little engine, and what that does is it says if the delay is greater than nothing, in other words, you're saying I want you to perform this command for X number of rotations, then it calls the myMotors, which is again a new one I have to show you, and then subtracts 1 off the delay. So what we've done is we've created a little delay loop there. Actually, rather than using an actual delay where the processing stopped, that processing is running all the time, which means that within there the next stage will be to start looking at additional sensors, so that we're basically saying what we wanted to do, but we can add additional sensors in there. And then the next if is if the delay is equal to 0. I could have done that with an else, but I'm doing it with 0 for now for a reason, long term. What I want to do is just run my motors, or my move motors. So the my move motors command is quite simple. Insofar as what it does is it deals with all 4 motors at once, or one after another. What it does is it uses a new command we've not met before called for. Now what that does, if you actually look where the brackets go, we're telling that to go from 0 to 4. What by saying less than 4. So in other words, it will do 0, 1, 2, 3, and when it hits 4, it will stop. And then we're telling it to increment by 1, because MIMO plus plus is the same as MIMO equals MIMO plus 1. Again, like I said, we're starting to hit the speed now. We're starting to go faster and faster with regard to the software. And if you are getting stuck, do tell me, and I'll do intermediate tutorials for this. So in the first part of this thing, I've got an if statement and then a nested if. And what it does is it says, if my motors which is what it's doing is initially that will be 0, then it'll be 1. So what it's doing is it's then looking at that array one by one and saying is, if that array is less than the pulse width modulation setting, then add to the pulse width modulation setting. So all the pulse width modulations will start at 0 initially, and what this will do is build the pulse width modulation signal up literally one click at a time. So it's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it gives you, it'll give you an indication how fast these processors are running, even these little Arduinos, which are considered slow. And then alternatively, if that is not set, what it does is it goes in and just sets the actual motor sensor to 0. In other words, the PWM to 0. So what you've got is you've got 2 if statements there. One deals with it if you've actually got a value in there which says that motor is switched on, and increases the pulse width modulation number, assuming it's less than your ceiling, which is my PWM. So in other words, the ceiling is 3000. So then, alternatively, it makes sure that's 0 if you've sent a 0 command. So as that array alters, those 2 if statements deal with it. And then the last thing it does is, based on what those if statements have done, has sent that final condition to the motor. But what it does do is it then divides the pulse width modulation signal by the factor, which we know right at the beginning is 20. So what we're doing is we're allowing for the speed of this thing to control the whole thing. So if you actually think about it, the top thing that we're allowing this to go to is 3000. We're then dividing 3000 by 20. So the maximum speed that we're allowing this to go to is a 20th of 3000. So if we divide it by 10, that will be 300. So the maximum pulse width modulation is 150. So we're about 2/3 of the way up the possible top speed. But again, because of the way that it's going, we're now into soft start and fast stop, because that makes sense, but we're into soft starts. And we could adjust those 2 figures at the top there to decide how fast, what the maximum speed is, and so the maximum sort of things, how fast it gets there between the factor and the pulse width modulation. In other words, if we made that 30,000, the actual the speed that we'll get there will be much slower. But what we'll do is, to stop that going above 255, we then divide that by a number. So the pulse width modulation number now is really an overall speed control of how fast that is. It's more like a ramps control, and then that factor will always be whatever you want that final figure to be as an actual PWM factor. Like I say, we're getting fairly deep, but we're getting to, this is really just a first step, baby steps, in starting to deal with everything, so that what you've got a situation where your motor's soft start. We'll go over to the arena and let's see how this affects the robot itself. So it's not much different in some respects to the way it was earlier when we just set it as a simple factor. But one of the things we can do now, I'm hoping it's going to come this way. Yes, I think it is. Oh, I might be able to grab it. Nope, nearly. We'll see if it comes back this way again. I don't want to take the tie clip mic off. Come on, come this way. It doesn't want to. It's avoiding me. It can hear me. I'll take the tie clip mic off. Apologies if there's a bump. So, what I'm going to do now, he says, put him back in. Finish one, just sit down. Tie clip mic back down. Apologies if there's a bump. We'll now connect that back in. We'll go over to the software, and again, because we're into object orientation, we will alter the pulse width modulation, and we'll actually do it. We'll actually add a factor of 10. We'll also add that same factor to the factor. Let's just see what a difference that makes to the whole thing. Again, this is where you can play. The nice thing about object-oriented programming, you can play with the actual things. That's the program going over. Okay, so we'll go back to the arena. I'll reset this bot as it goes in. Oops, dropped his battery, starting to come loose. So, and it helps if you disconnect it from the computer as well. So, we'll now particularly put this on a factor of 10. And you can actually see how it's almost disabled the robot. Perhaps 10 too much. But what it does, oops, shall we go over to the arena? I did mean to press the arena. So what's now happened, I'm going to take this clip mic off again. What that's done is it actually has disabled the robot. We'll again, this is one of the nice things about experimentation and the nice thing about object-oriented programming. Oh, apologies for the bump. Okay, so we'll plug it back in. And let me first say that I've not tried this myself before. This was all conceptual programming. So we'll take the 10 out and let's make that 6,000 and let's make that 40 and send that. So that's going into the robot now. Disconnect it. Reset it so it doesn't trap my fingers. And then we'll go to the arena. And let's see what a difference that makes. So you can see how there's like a perceptible stop now. It is still not doing a lot better than it was. But you can see that perceptual stop now as the PWM builds up. So what I want you to do is think about the fact that we can now experiment far more, because the more we create this object orientated engine, the more we can see what we're learning from that. And what I'm trying to do is let's look at where is this going wrong, what would we do if we wanted it to be different. And it is still extremely random, because the actual if statements aren't any cleverer. So it is still extremely bumpy, it's still extremely random, but it does feel a bit more under control. So that's another quick one. That's 5. I'm going to sit down and massage this engine a lot better and start looking at the logics, and then come back to you with another update when I've had a chance to sit down and think about this engine with a bit more. And again, I'm going to sit down in this arena and play around with these different variables and see what that gives me.